The warning came on a Tuesday morning when the sun was just rising over the Pacific Ocean. Commander Hyun-woo was drinking his third cup of coffee in the orbital command center when every screen in the room turned red. His hand stopped halfway to his mouth. The cup floated away in the low gravity as he stared at the display. 10,000 ships had just entered the solar system. They came from beyond Neptune, their hulls dark and angular, like knives cutting through space. The sensors showed their size, and everyone in the command center went silent. Each ship was massive, some as large as cities. They moved in perfect formation, advancing slowly but steadily toward the inner planets. Hyun-woo had been a soldier for 24 years. He had fought in the Mars Rebellion when colonists tried to break away from Earth. He had seen death and destruction, but this was different. This was an invasion fleet, and it was bigger than anything humanity had ever faced. "Get me Ambassador Ji-won," he said quietly. His voice was calm, but his heart was racing. "And wake up, everyone. The politicians, the generals, everyone." Within an hour, the message came. It was broadcast across every frequency, in every language that humanity used. The voice was cold and mechanical, translated by computers into words that humans could understand. "We are the Velkari Empire. You will surrender your planet within 48 hours. Resist, and you will be eliminated. Your civilization will end. You have no choice." The message repeated 3 times, and then stopped. The alien fleet continued moving forward, unhurried and confident. They had done this before. Earth was just another planet to conquer, another species to crush. Ambassador Ji-won arrived at the command center within 2 hours. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and gray hair tied back in a tight knot. She had spent 15 years negotiating with alien species, learning their customs and languages. She had always believed that peace was possible with anyone. Today, she looked at the display showing the alien fleet, and her face was hard. "They did not even try to negotiate," she said. "They just gave us an ultimatum." "Can we talk to them?" someone asked. Ji-won shook her head. "They are not interested in talking. They have conquered 47 other star systems. They see us as weak, as easy prey." Hyun-woo pulled up a tactical display. Red dots showed the Velkari fleet. Blue dots showed Earth's defenses. There were not many blue dots. Humanity had ships, stations, and weapons platforms scattered throughout the solar system, but they were outnumbered 50-1. "We cannot win a straight fight," he said. "Not against this many." An admiral who had just arrived spoke up. "Then we surrender, we save lives, we negotiate terms." The room fell silent. Everyone looked at Hyun-woo. He was the ranking military officer in orbit. The decision would ultimately come from the president and the military council, but his opinion mattered. He thought about his daughter on Earth. She was 20 years old, studying medicine. He thought about the billions of people living their lives unaware that an alien fleet was coming to destroy everything they knew. "No," he said, "we do not surrender." "They will kill billions," the admiral said. "They will kill billions anyway," Hyun-woo replied. "Species that surrender to the Velkari are enslaved. Their worlds are stripped of resources. I have read the reports. The Velkari do not show mercy. They show dominance." He turned to face everyone in the command center. "We have been preparing for this day for 80 years, since we first learned that hostile aliens existed. We built weapons, we created strategies, we studied every war in human history and learned from them. Today we use everything we have learned." Dr. Yoon-ji entered the command center. She was younger than Hyun-woo, maybe 35, with tired eyes and coffee stains on her lab coat. She had been working on quantum weapons research at Luna Station for the past decade. "I heard," she said simply. "The weapons are ready." "All of them." "Even the experimental ones?" Hyun-woo asked. She nodded. "Even those. I can activate the defense network within 12 hours. But, Commander, you need to understand something. Once we start this, there is no going back. The weapons we built are designed for total war. Many of them are banned by every treaty we have signed with friendly alien species. The Velkari do not care about treaties, Ji-Wan said quietly. Captain Daewon arrived next. He was a fighter pilot, one of the best. His squadron was stationed on the EDS Indomitable, a carrier ship in high orbit. He looked at the display and whistled low. "That is a lot of ships," he said. He tried to sound casual, but everyone could hear the tension in his voice. "Can your pilots handle it?" Hyun-woo asked. Daewon smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. "We will have to. That is our job." Over the next 36 hours, Earth transformed. The president addressed the planet. She told everyone the truth. An alien fleet was coming. They had two choices: fight or die. There was no third option. Cities began evacuating non-essential people to underground shelters built during the expansion of the old Cold War bunkers. Families said goodbye to each other. Soldiers reported to their stations. Ships launched from Earth, carrying supplies and weapons to orbital platforms. Hyun-woo did not sleep. He coordinated with commanders across the solar system. Colonel Tae Yang in the asteroid belt reported that his hidden weapons platforms were online. Engineer Min Seo confirmed that the experimental EMP devices were ready. Private J-Wan and thousands of other Marines boarded transports heading to Mars, preparing to defend the colonies there. The Velkari fleet kept coming. They passed Neptune. They passed Uranus. They did not slow down. They did not change course. They were confident. They had conquered 47 star systems. Earth would be number 48. Ambassador Ji-Wan sent one final message to the aliens. "You have been warned. Turn back now or face the consequences." The Velkari commander responded with laughter. It was recorded and played across human communication networks. His voice was deep and filled with contempt. "You are insects. We are gods. Prepare to die." The message ended. The 48-hour deadline expired. The Velkari fleet crossed into the orbit of Neptune, and humanity's trap began to close. Dr. Yoon-ji stood in the control room of Luna Station and entered the activation codes. Her hands shook slightly as she typed. This was the moment everything changed. Around her, dozens of scientists and technicians waited in silence. Everyone knew what was about to happen. "Authorization accepted," the computer said, activating Doomsday Archives. For 80 years, since humanity first made contact with alien civilizations, military strategists had been planning. They studied every war in human history, every battle, every tactic, from ancient Rome to World War II to the Mars Rebellion. They took all that knowledge and programmed it into quantum computers. They asked one question: how do we survive an invasion? The answer was simple and terrifying: turn the entire solar system into a weapon. Yoon-ji watched as her screens came alive with data. Hidden facilities across the solar system were waking up. Weapons that had been disguised as research stations, mining operations, and communications arrays were revealing their true purpose. "Dr. Yoon-ji," a young technician said, "the Jupiter network is online, Saturn network is online, Asteroid Belt network is online." She nodded. "Good. Begin targeting solutions. Feed all data to Commander Hyun-woo." On Mars, Private J-Wan checked his weapon for the 5th time. He was 22 years old, and this was his first real combat deployment. Around him, other Marines were doing the same thing, checking equipment, writing letters home. Some were praying, others just sat quietly, lost in thought. The sergeant walked through the barracks. "Listen up. The aliens think Mars is an easy target. They think they can land here, use our colonies as bases to attack Earth. They are wrong. We have been fortifying this planet for 3 years. Every dome has weapons. Every tunnel has explosives. If they come here, we make them bleed for every meter." Jaewon swallowed hard. He had joined the Marines to serve humanity, to see the stars. He never thought he would be fighting for survival. In the asteroid belt, Colonel Tae Yang floated in the command module of Station 47. It was not a station anymore, not really. It was a weapons platform disguised as a mining facility. There were thousands like it, scattered through the belt, hidden among millions of rocks and ice chunks. Tai Yang had been here for 7 years. He had supervised the construction of the hidden railguns, the missile batteries, the laser arrays. He had done it all in secret, pretending to be a simple mining coordinator. Now the secret was about to be revealed. He thought about his wife and son. They had died 15 years ago during the Mars Rebellion. A bomb had destroyed their habitat. He had been off-world at the time. He could not save them. But today he could save others. Today he could make the people who threatened humanity pay. "All stations report ready," his second officer said. Tae Yang nodded. "Good. Wait for Commander Hyunwoo's signal. And remember, we only get one chance at surprise." Back on Earth's orbital command center, Hyunwoo studied the tactical displays. The Valkyrie fleet was approaching Neptune. They would reach the planet in 6 hours. After that, they would continue toward Uranus, then Saturn, then Jupiter. Eventually, they would reach Earth, but they would not make it that far. Hyunwoo would make sure of that. Engineer Min Seo arrived at the command center carrying a data pad. She looked exhausted but determined. "Commander, the EMP network is ready. I have also finished the quantum torpedoes. They are experimental, but they should work." "Should?" Hyunwoo asked. She smiled weakly. "Will. They will work. I have tested them thoroughly. They generate quantum instabilities that disrupt shield harmonics. The Valkyrie shields will collapse." "How many do we have?" 3,000. Once they are gone, they are gone. We cannot make more quickly." Hyunwoo nodded. 3,000 against 10,000 ships. Not great odds, but better than nothing. Captain Dae-won called in from the EDS Indomitable. "Commander, my squadron is ready. We have 200 fighters prepped and loaded, but I need to know the plan. How are we doing this?" Hyunwoo pulled up a tactical map and shared it with everyone. "Here is what we do. The Valkyrie are overconfident. They think we are weak. We use that. We let them think they are winning until they are too deep in the trap to escape." He pointed to Neptune on the map. "First blood happens here. The moons of Neptune have been armed with railguns and missiles. When the Valkyrie fleet passes, we hit them hard. Not enough to stop them, but enough to hurt them." "Then?" Ji-won asked. "Then they chase us. We fall back through the outer planets, hitting them at every opportunity. We make them angry. We make them careless. And when they reach the asteroid belt, Colonel Tae Yang springs the real trap." Ambassador Ji-won looked worried. "This plan requires us to sacrifice the outer colonies. Neptune Station, Uranus Base, thousands of people." "They have already been evacuated," Hyunwoo said. 3 days ago, we began moving civilians out of the outer system. They are on transports heading to Earth now." She relaxed slightly. "Good. I did not want to ask humanity to abandon anyone." The hours passed slowly. The Valkyrie fleet continued its advance. They sent no more messages. They did not negotiate. They simply moved forward like a great dark tide, confident in their power. On Earth, billions of people watched the news. They saw the images of the alien fleet. They heard the experts talking about humanity's chances. Most of the experts were pessimistic. How could Earth win against such numbers? But the experts did not know about the hidden weapons. They did not know about the plans that had been made in secret for 8 decades. They did not know that humanity had been preparing for this exact moment since the day they learned they were not alone in the universe. Hyunwoo stood in the command center and watched the Valkyrie fleet approach Neptune. His coffee had gone cold hours ago, but he did not care. He thought about all the people depending on him, his daughter on Earth, the soldiers in space, the colonists on Mars. Everyone. "Commander," a technician said, "the Velkari fleet is entering Neptune's orbit." "Activate Neptune defenses," Hyun-woo said calmly. On Neptune's moons, weapon systems that had been dormant for years suddenly came to life. Railguns emerged from hidden bunkers. Missile silos opened. Targeting computers locked onto the alien ships. And then humanity fired the first shot. The space around Neptune lit up with weapons fire. Railgun slugs, traveling at incredible speeds, slammed into Velkari ships. Missiles streaked across the darkness. Explosions blossomed like deadly flowers. The Velkari fleet reacted immediately. Their shields activated. Their weapons returned fire. But they were caught by surprise. In the first 30 seconds, 200 alien ships were destroyed. Hyun-woo watched the battle with cold satisfaction. Good. Now they know we can fight. The Velkari fleet continued forward, destroying the Neptune defenses. But they had lost ships. They had been hurt. And more importantly, they were angry now. They would chase humanity deeper into the solar system. And that was exactly what Hyun-woo wanted. The Velkari commander stared at his tactical display with disbelief. 200 ships gone in 30 seconds. It was impossible. The humans were supposed to be weak, primitive. Yet they had weapons hidden on Neptune's moons that his scouts had completely missed. "Destroy everything," he ordered. "Leave nothing standing." The Velkari fleet unleashed its full firepower on Neptune's defenses. The moons were bombarded until nothing remained but glowing craters. But the damage was done. The aliens had lost ships, and their confidence was shaken. "Continue to the next planet," the commander said, "and this time scan everything. I want to know about every rock, every station, every weapon before we get there." But scanning took time, and time was something the Velkari no longer had much of. Captain Daewon led his fighter squadron away from the battle at Neptune. 200 small ships against thousands of alien vessels was suicide. Instead, they used hit-and-run tactics. Appear from behind a moon, fire missiles, then disappear before the enemy could respond. "Red Squadron, follow my lead," Daewon said into his radio. "We hit the stragglers, the ships at the back of their formation. Make them scared to be alone." His fighters darted through space like angry insects. They were small and fast. The Velkari ships were large and powerful, but slow to turn. Daewon's squadron destroyed 15 enemy ships before the aliens even realized they were under attack. "This is what humans do," Daewon said to his pilots. "We adapt, we learn, we survive." On Uranus, the second defensive line waited. Commander Hyun-woo had learned from Neptune. This time, he did not just hide weapons on moons. He hid weapons inside the planet's rings. Mines floated in the ice and rock, looking like natural debris. Laser platforms disguised as research satellites waited in orbit. When the Velkari fleet arrived at Uranus 3 days later, they were more careful. They scanned everything. But Hyun-woo had expected that. The mines and platforms were shielded with the same technology that hid human submarines in Earth's oceans. The Velkari scanners saw nothing unusual. "Wait until they are in the middle of the rings," Hyun-woo ordered. "Then activate everything at once." The alien fleet moved into Uranus's orbital space, spreading out to scan for threats. They found nothing. Their commander relaxed slightly. Perhaps Neptune had been a lucky strike by the humans. Perhaps the rest of the solar system was not as well defended. He was wrong. The mines activated simultaneously, thousands of them. Nuclear explosions lit up space like a new sun. Velkari ships caught in the blast zones were torn apart. Those on the edges had their shields overloaded. And in that moment of chaos, the laser platforms opened fire. Dr. Yoonji's quantum torpedoes joined the attack. They were fired from hidden ships on the far side of Uranus. The torpedoes looked like ordinary missiles, but when they hit Velkari shields, something strange happened. The shields flickered and collapsed. The ships beneath were suddenly vulnerable. Human railguns fired next. Simple kinetic weapons, just chunks of metal accelerated to enormous speeds. But without shields, the Velkari ships were as fragile as paper. The railgun slugs punched through hulls, through engines, through crew compartments. The Velkari fleet lost 800 ships at Uranus. Their commander was furious. He sent a message back to the Velkari Empire demanding reinforcements. But the message would take months to reach them, and months more for help to arrive. He was on his own. "Forward," he ordered through clenched teeth. "These humans cannot have weapons everywhere. We will overwhelm them with numbers." But the Velkari fleet was no longer 10,000 ships strong. It was now 9,000, and every battle made them weaker. At Saturn, Colonel Tae Yang prepared his trap. The rings of Saturn were massive, filled with countless particles of ice and rock. It was the perfect place to hide. His weapons platforms had been positioned throughout the rings 3 years ago, built to look like research probes studying the planet. "The aliens will be cautious now," he told his officers. "They have been hurt twice, so we do not hit them from the rings. We hit them from Saturn itself." Inside Saturn's atmosphere, deep below the clouds, humanity had placed something terrible. It was a bomb, but not a normal one. Engineer Min Seo had designed it based on old thermonuclear weapons, but much more powerful. When detonated, it would create a shockwave that would tear through Saturn's atmosphere and into space. The Velkari fleet arrived at Saturn 4 days later. They were spread out now, paranoid about ambushes. They scanned the rings thoroughly. They found Tai Yang's platforms. "I knew it," the Velkari commander said with satisfaction. "Destroy those platforms immediately." His ships opened fire on the rings. Tai Yang's platforms were destroyed one by one, but Tai Yang was smiling. "Now," he said. The bomb inside Saturn detonated. The planet's entire atmosphere convulsed. A massive shock wave of superheated gas exploded outward into space. The Velkari ships caught in the blast were incinerated instantly. Those further away had their shields collapse from the electromagnetic pulse, and that was when Tai Yang's real weapons activated. Not the platforms in the rings that the aliens had found. The other platforms, the ones hidden in Saturn's many moons. Missiles streaked out from a dozen different directions at once. The Velkari fleet scattered in panic. They tried to reform, but human fighters led by Day Wan harassed them constantly, preventing organization. More ships died. The precise number was hard to count in the chaos, but Hyunwoo estimated another 1,000 were lost. Private J. Wan watched the battle from Mars. He could not see the fighting directly, but the data feeds showed everything. The Velkari fleet was being torn apart piece by piece. Humanity was winning, but he knew it was not over. There were still thousands of alien ships left, and they were getting closer to Earth. "Get ready," his sergeant said. "They will come here next. Mars is the last stop before Earth. This is where we make our stand." The Velkari fleet limped toward Jupiter. They had lost nearly half their ships, and morale was collapsing. Some captains were suggesting retreat. The commander executed 3 of them for cowardice. "We are the Velkari Empire," he broadcast to his remaining fleet. "We have conquered 47 star systems. We will not be defeated by these primitive humans. At Jupiter, we regroup and plan carefully, then we crush them." But at Jupiter, humanity had prepared the greatest trap of all. Commander Hyun-woo watched the Velkari fleet approach. They were down to about 7,000 ships now. Still more than humanity could match in direct combat, but no longer invincible. "This is where we break them," he said. "Ambassador Jiwon, broadcast the footage." Jiwon nodded and activated a transmission. It was sent not just to the Velkari, but to every alien civilization in the region. The footage showed every battle so far. It showed the Velkari fleet being ambushed, destroyed, scattered. It showed human fighters outmaneuvering them. It showed the great Velkari Empire bleeding. The message was clear. Humanity was not easy prey. Across the galaxy, other species watched with amazement. The Velkari had seemed unstoppable, yet these humans were defeating them. Some species began to wonder if they had underestimated humanity. Others began to hope that the Velkari could be resisted after all. The Velkari commander saw the broadcast and felt rage unlike anything he had experienced before. These humans were not just fighting back, they were humiliating his empire in front of the entire galaxy. "Forget caution," he said. "Forget strategy. We charge directly at Earth and we burn it to ashes. No more tricks, no more traps, just pure overwhelming force." It was exactly the response Hyun-woo had wanted. An angry enemy makes mistakes. The Velkari fleet reached Jupiter and stopped. Their commander knew he needed to regroup and plan, but his pride would not let him wait long. 7,000 ships surrounded him. Still enough to destroy Earth. Still enough to win. But something was wrong. His intelligence officers had noticed patterns in the human attacks. The humans were not fighting to destroy the Velkari fleet. They were fighting to drive it forward deeper into the solar system. "Commander," one officer said nervously, "I believe we are being herded into a trap." "Nonsense," the commander replied. "We have overwhelming numbers. What trap could possibly threaten us?" He would find out soon enough. The Velkari fleet began moving toward Mars. They traveled in a tight formation now, shields overlapping for protection. They would not be caught by surprise again, or so they thought. That was when humanity stopped retreating. Commander Hyun-woo gave the order from Earth's orbital command center. "All ships, engage. Colonel Tae-yang, activate the asteroid belt network. Captain Dae-won, take your squadrons in. Dr. Yunji, fire everything we have left." The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter was the largest concentration of rocks and ice in the solar system. Millions of objects ranging from pebbles to small planets, and hidden among them were weapons. So many weapons. Colonel Tae-yang had spent years preparing this battlefield. Railguns built into asteroids, nuclear mines attached to rocks. EMP generators disguised as space debris, laser arrays hidden in hollowed-out planetoids. The entire asteroid belt was a weapon, and he controlled it all. "Fire," he said simply. The asteroids themselves became bullets. Tae-yang's teams had been quietly attaching engines to thousands of large rocks over the past 5 years. Now those engines activated, sending the asteroids hurtling toward the Velkari fleet at tremendous speeds. The aliens tried to shoot them down, but there were too many. Asteroids the size of buildings slammed into their ships. Shields held for a moment, then collapsed under the kinetic energy. Ships were crushed, torn apart, sent spinning into other ships. While the Velkari fleet was reeling, the hidden weapons activated. Railguns fired from every direction. Missiles streaked out from rocks the aliens thought were harmless. Nuclear mines detonated in massive chains of explosions. Captain Dae-won led his fighter squadrons into the chaos. They no longer ran away. Now they attacked with everything they had. His pilots were outnumbered, but they knew the battlefield. Every rock, every hiding place. They appeared from behind asteroids, fired their weapons, and vanished before the aliens could respond. "This is our home," Dae-won said over the radio. "Every planet, every moon, every rock in this system belongs to humanity, and you are not welcome here." His fighter took damage from enemy fire, but he kept flying. His squadron followed his example. They were determined to protect Earth no matter the cost. Engineer Min-seo watched from Luna Station as her weapons performed perfectly. The EMPs disrupted Velkari shields. The quantum torpedoes collapsed their defensive systems. Everything was working exactly as designed. But she also saw the casualty reports coming in. Human ships were dying too. Pilots like Dae-won were sacrificing themselves to slow the alien advance. Weapons platforms were being destroyed. Mars colonies were under attack. "Is this worth it?" a young technician asked her. "All this death?" Minseo thought about her parents on Earth, her sister, her friends. "If we do not fight, they will kill everyone. At least this way we have a chance." The Velkari commander realized his mistake too late. He had pushed too deep into the solar system. The humans had not been running away. They had been drawing him into the perfect kill zone. Now his fleet was trapped in the asteroid belt, taking fire from all directions, unable to maneuver properly. "Retreat," he ordered. "Fall back to Jupiter. We will regroup and find another approach." But Commander Hyun-woo had anticipated this too. "They are trying to run," he said. "Do not let them. Close the back door." Human ships that had been hiding beyond Jupiter suddenly appeared behind the Velkari fleet. They were not many, perhaps 200 ships total. But they blocked the only clear path of retreat. The aliens would have to fight through them to escape. The Velkari fleet was now completely surrounded. Ahead of them was Mars and the main human defensive force. Behind them was the blocking fleet. On all sides were the weapons of the asteroid belt. It was a killing box, and the Velkari were trapped inside. The battle lasted for 3 days. Neither side slept. Human pilots flew shifts around the clock, constantly harassing the alien fleet. Weapons platforms fired until they ran out of ammunition, then used their last power to ram enemy ships. Soldiers like Private J-1 fought landing parties that tried to capture Mars as an escape route. The Velkari fought desperately. They were skilled warriors who had conquered dozens of worlds. They did not give up easily, but they were in a battle they could not win. Every hour, more of their ships died. Every day, their numbers shrank. On the second day, the Velkari commander sent a message to Commander Hyun-woo. "I offer you terms of surrender. Let my fleet leave, and we will never return to your system." Hyun-woo looked at the message for a long moment. Around him, the command center was silent. Everyone waited for his response. He thought about the ultimatum the Velkari had sent to Earth. Surrender or be eliminated. No negotiation, no mercy, just threats and arrogance. "Send this reply," Hyun-woo said. "You came to our home. You threatened to kill billions of our people. You gave us 48 hours to surrender or die. Now I give you the same choice. Surrender your fleet or be destroyed. You have 48 hours. The Velkari commander received the message and felt something he had not experienced in decades. Fear. Real fear. He looked at his tactical display. His fleet was down to less than 3,000 ships. Most were damaged. His supplies were running low. His crew was exhausted. He tried sending a distress call to the Velkari Empire, begging for reinforcements. But the signal was jammed. The humans had been jamming his communications for days. No one would come to help him. "We fight to the last ship," he told his officers. "We are Velkari. We do not surrender." But his officers were not convinced anymore. They had seen their mighty fleet reduced to rubble. They had watched humans fight with a ferocity and cleverness they had never encountered before. These were not the weak primitives they had expected. Some Velkari captains began to quietly discuss mutiny. Perhaps if they surrendered individually, the humans would show mercy. Perhaps they could save themselves even if their commander could not. Captain Daewon's fighter was barely functional. He had been in combat for 72 hours straight. His wingman had been killed 2 days ago. Half his squadron was gone. But he kept flying because that was what humans did. They endured. "One more run," he told himself. "Just one more." His targeting computer locked onto a damaged Velkari cruiser. He fired his last missiles and watched them streak across space. Direct hit. The enemy ship broke apart in a ball of expanding debris. "Red Leader, return to carrier," the radio said. "You are out of ammunition." "Acknowledged," Daewon replied. As he turned his fighter back toward the EDS Indomitable, he saw the battlefield stretched out before him. Hundreds of wrecked ships from both sides, debris fields that would take centuries to clean up. The cost of this war was terrible, but Earth still stood. Humanity survived. That was what mattered. The Velkari fleet began its final push toward Mars on the third day. They had no plan left except to break through to Earth and hope their numbers would be enough. It was desperation, not strategy. Commander Hyunwoo watched them come. "Prepare for final engagement," he said. "This is where we end it." The final battle began in the space between Mars and Earth. The humans called it the graveyard because everyone knew what would happen there. One fleet would die. Maybe both. Less than 3,000 Velkari ships remained. They were damaged and desperate, but still dangerous. Commander Hyunwoo had perhaps 800 functional human ships. Numbers still favored the aliens, but not by much. Not anymore. "All ships," Hyunwoo broadcast. "This is where we make our stand. Behind us is Earth, our home, our families, everything we love. The enemy wants to take it from us. They want to kill everyone we care about. Today we show them what happens when you threaten humanity." Private J. Wan stood on Mars with his rifle ready. The aliens had tried landing 3 times already. Each time the Marines had driven them back. But Velkari dropships were coming again. He could see them on his helmet display, descending through the thin atmosphere. "Here they come," the sergeant said. "Remember your training. Protect the colony domes. Do not let them through." The dropships landed and alien soldiers poured out. They were bigger than humans, with thick armor and powerful weapons. But the Marines had prepared the battlefield. Every approach to the domes was mined. Every corridor had firing positions. The aliens had superior numbers, but the humans had the defensive advantage. Jae-won fired his rifle in controlled bursts. The Velkari soldiers fell, but more kept coming. He threw a grenade and watched it explode among a cluster of enemies. His hands were steady, even though his heart was racing. "We can do this," he said to himself. "We can win." In orbit, Captain Dae-won climbed into a new fighter. His old one had been destroyed, but there were always more ships, always more pilots willing to fly. His squadron had been reduced to 30 fighters, but they were still operational. "One more time," he said to his wingman. "We hit their flagship, cut off the head, and the body dies." "That ship has hundreds of defensive weapons," his wingman replied. "We will not survive." "Probably not," Dae-won agreed. "But if we take it out, we save Earth. Worth it." They launched from the carrier and accelerated toward the enemy. 30 fighters against the largest ship in the Velkari fleet. It was suicide. But Dae-won had learned something during this war. Sometimes survival was not the goal. Sometimes you just needed to do enough damage before you died. Dr. Yoonji activated her final weapon. It was something she had designed but never wanted to use. A device that created artificial black holes. Tiny ones that lasted only microseconds, but during that time they would tear apart anything nearby. "This weapon is dangerous," she had told Hyunwoo. "It could destroy our own ships if we are not careful." "Then we will be careful," he had replied. Now she targeted the weapon at the densest concentration of enemy ships. She activated it and watched the results. Space itself seemed to ripple. 3 Velkari ships simply collapsed into nothing, crushed by gravitational forces beyond comprehension. The weapon burned out after one shot. It would never fire again, but it had done its job. Engineer Min Seo worked frantically to keep Earth's orbital defenses online. The Velkari were throwing everything at them now. Defense satellites were exploding one after another. The orbital railgun platforms were almost out of ammunition. "I need more power," she shouted at her team. "Reroute everything from non-essential systems, life support, communications, everything. The guns need power." "If we do that, we cannot call for help," someone warned. "From who?" Min Seo asked. "We are alone. We always have been. Now give me that power! The Velkari commander watched his fleet die around him. He had entered this system with 10,000 ships. Now he commanded fewer than 1,000. His empire would never forgive this failure. But at this point, he no longer cared about the empire. He only wanted to hurt the humans as much as they had hurt him. All ships, target Earth directly, he ordered. Ignore the human fleet. We will destroy their planet even if it costs us everything. His remaining ships turned toward the blue world in the distance. They accelerated, pushing their engines beyond safe limits. If they could just reach Earth, they could bombard it from orbit, kill billions, make the humans suffer. But Commander Hyunwoo had saved one final surprise. Activate Endgame Protocol, he said quietly. Around Earth, weapons platforms that had been completely hidden suddenly revealed themselves. They had been disguised as communications satellites, weather stations, civilian spacecraft. There were thousands of them. Each one was small, but together they formed a wall of firepower that surrounded the entire planet. The Velkari fleet flew directly into that wall and was shredded. Captain Daewon and his squadron reached the Velkari flagship. Enemy point defense systems opened fire. His squadron was cut down. 20 fighters destroyed in seconds, then 15, then 10. Keep going, Daewon said. His fighter was hit but still flying. 5 fighters left. 3. Just him and his wingman now. They fired every weapon they had at the flagship's bridge. Missiles, lasers, railgun rounds, everything. The flagship's shields flickered and collapsed. For a moment, the bridge was exposed. Daewon saw his chance. He changed course and aimed his fighter directly at the bridge. His wingman did the same. It has been an honor, Daewon said. For Earth, his wingman replied. Both fighters crashed into the Velkari flagship's command center at full speed. The explosion tore through the ship's entire front section. The Velkari commander died instantly, along with all his senior officers. The flagship began to drift, powerless and leaderless. Without their command ship, the remaining Velkari vessels fell into chaos. Some tried to retreat. Others attacked wildly. A few attempted to surrender, but in the confusion, the human fleet could not tell which ships were surrendering and which were attacking. Colonel Tae Yang made the decision for them. Destroy them all! Leave no survivors! It was brutal. It was merciless. But the Velkari had come to Earth with the same intention. They had promised to eliminate humanity. Now humanity was returning the favor. The battle lasted another 6 hours. One by one, the Velkari ships were hunted down and destroyed. Some were caught by orbital defenses. Others were cornered by human fighters. A few tried to hide in asteroid fields, but Colonel Tae Yang knew every hiding place in the belt. By the time the sun rose over Earth the next morning, the battle was over. Not a single Velkari ship remained operational. 10,000 had entered the solar system. 10,000 had died. The cost to humanity was terrible. 2 billion people dead from orbital bombardments and failed evacuations. 60% of the fleet destroyed. Mars Colony 3 was completely gone, wiped out by enemy fire. The asteroid belt facilities were mostly rubble. But Earth survived. Humanity survived. Ambassador Jiwon sent a message to every alien civilization in the galaxy. She showed them recordings of the entire war. Every battle, every sacrifice. The message was clear. Humanity was not prey. They were predators when they needed to be. We wanted peace, she said in the broadcast. We offered negotiation. The Velkari chose war. This is what war with humanity looks like. We do not have the largest fleet or the most advanced technology, but we will never surrender. We will never give up. If you attack us, we will fight with everything we have until either you are destroyed or we are. There is no middle ground. The message spread across the galaxy. Other alien empires watched with shock. The Velkari had been powerful, feared, yet these humans had destroyed them completely. Some civilizations were impressed. Others were terrified, but all of them learned the same lesson. Do not threaten Earth. Private J1 stood in the ruins of Mars Colony 3. He had survived the battle, but many of his friends had not. He found a piece of metal from a destroyed building and drove it into the red soil as a marker. "We won," he said to the graves around him. "You can rest now." Engineer Minseo collapsed from exhaustion in her workshop. She had not slept in 4 days. When they found her, she was still clutching her data pad, still calculating how to improve the defenses for next time. Dr. Yunji looked at the readings from her black hole weapon and felt sick. She had created something capable of destroying space itself. She deleted all the research files and made sure no one could ever build it again. Commander Hyun-woo stood in the command center and looked at Earth through the window. His planet was scarred but intact. His people were alive. The job was done. "Sir," an officer said, "we are getting reports from deep space. Other alien fleets are changing course away from our system. They are avoiding us." Hyun-woo nodded slowly. "Good. Let them fear us. Fear will keep them away better than any diplomacy." 10 years later, humanity had rebuilt. The defense network was stronger than ever. New weapons were developed. New ships were built. The solar system became the most heavily defended place in the galaxy. No alien empire ever attacked Earth again. The story of the Velkari fleet spread across the stars. 10,000 ships had entered the solar system seeking conquest. None survived. It became a warning, a cautionary tale. The message was simple and every species understood it. Humanity fights to the end, no matter the cost. They will use every weapon, every strategy, every sacrifice necessary to protect their home. And if you threaten them, you will never leave alive.